Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hello, my friend. Welcome to Relaxed Male. I am your host, Brian, and I had a completely different topic that I was going to start off with. I had three other episodes already recorded, and I just tossed them all in the trash. And because I'm taking it a little bit of a different direction. The whole means and purposes and instance and meaning of Relaxed Male is all staying the same. Just one, I didn't like the sound quality, so we're going at a different angle and trying this again, working with doing it a completely different way. So anyhow, better sound quality is point number one. Point number two, I got a reaffirmation of why I need to be doing this podcast. The first big catalyst to what Relaxed Male is about came at me, I believe, in October of about 2 years ago. I had a very dear, close friend of mine who killed himself. Why? I still can't absolutely fully understand that. I can't even imagine what type of pain or torment or anything like that he must have been going through. People say when they are talking about someone who has killed themselves, they succumb to their demons. And in all reality, I'm beginning to believe that that's might be a lot more correct than we want to admit. It almost seems like a demon comes along and grabs a person by their shoulders and whispers in their ear that they are not worth life, worth the friends that they have, and that everybody would be happier if they were gone. I really don't know if that's the actual full reason, but for my simple mind, it sounds a lot like it sounds like sense to me. It rings a little too close to being true, when in all reality, we should be able to just stand around and go, no, we know that's not the case. Everybody wants to talk about mental health, and mental health is a problem. A lot of people want to say we need to help those who are suffering from mental health. And yeah, I agree. We need to help those who are suffering from different types of mental health. But why is it that our mental health has gone downhill so fast? That's the question no one seems to answer. It's why, even 20 years ago, yeah, we heard about people. I had a member of the family in the 80s. I call him member of the family. They were a family friend, a very close family friend, and he killed himself. He, as I was told, he drove out into the country and put a barrel of a gun in his mouth, and he ate a bullet. And that was the only suicide that I had heard of up to that point. And after that, I really didn't hear much of anybody in my immediate area really didn't kill them. I'd never heard of people committing suicide. Now, you heard there was always people talking about suicide prevention and suicide this, and that's when we started hearing about the suicide hotline, and suicides were becoming a big deal. And yeah, we heard about people who were, I think we had actually correction. Now that I'm thinking, I can't remember who it was, but I believe we had somebody in my class. It was an upperclassman who attempted suicide. I can't remember completely. That's well over 25 years ago, and but it was not that common. And it seems as if the turn of the century was kind of the flipped switch that all of a sudden, hey, we need to have more suicides kick in. And you still didn't hear much. It was, and in all honesty, you really didn't hear much until 2010, until the beginning of this decade. In this decade, suicide has touched me personally, with Cory, my best friend in high school, who just died just yesterday. His name is Jake McDowell. But there was also 2 suicides in my family. My cousin lost his wife to suicide, and my cousin's brother, who is also my cousin, but just kind of explaining how they're tied together, he lost a son to suicide. And those 2 were within a year of each other. Now, Jake, let's go back over to Jake, because, well, I love talking about him. He was a shining light in everybody's life. He was always quick with telling a joke. One of the jokes that I don't know if I would say naive or just slow, but one of the jokes, I remember one joke that he told me that took 4 years for me to finally actually get, and I burst out laughing when all of a sudden it dawned on me what it was. And it's not that hard of a joke. And like I said, I felt stupid because it took so long to realize what it was that he said. But the joke was, what do you call a Roman with hair between his teeth? The answer, gladiator. And of course it over my head. And I just, I distinctly remember he was at our house when he told me that joke. And I remember going, and just kind of going on. Why it didn't click, I don't know, but it didn't until, like I said, about 4 years later. And I was it, where was I at? Because it was in a city. I was in a car. I was driving. It was either Dallas or San Diego. Now, I'm not 100%, but why all of a sudden my brain, being slow on the upswing decided to rehash that joke again. And it clicked. Glad he ate her. And I laughed, I don't know, maybe a good 15 minutes. I'm sure everybody beside me thought I'd lost my complete and full-hearted mind. But I laughed and thought it great. Jake was one of those who loved to play jokes. I mean, one time I remember he pissed me off something fierce because he had found some green food coloring. And during high school, we got to, this is the 80s, where kids were allowed to leave high school, leave the campus and go home to eat if they wanted to. So it was me and Jake and a couple other guys sometimes would come along. But usually me and Jake would come over to my house because I was only 2 blocks away from the house or from the school. And I would make ramen noodles. Jake would have something, whatever was in the fridge that he found interesting. And Jake found some green food coloring and had put 5, 6, 7, 10, God knows how many. But all I know is all of a sudden my noodles were this vibrant green. I mean, boom. And it done up and pissed me off. I couldn't believe he had ruined my noodles. And he just laughed and laughed. And more he laughed, the angrier I got. And I was just so tempted just to take the noodles and throw them in the trash. But then we only had 30 minutes or so. Actually, about an hour. Almost an hour. But, it would take him too much time, and I was wanting to watch a little television and stuff and see what was happening on MTV, and I had to choke down green noodles. Not that their flavor changed or anything. They were just green noodles, and so, but I remember one time seeing, there was a hailstorm down in the town that Jake had moved to after leaving college. And I saw that he had accomplished one of his big dreams. And that was to own a Cadillac. He had a Cadillac, and I thought that was just so cool of him that he actually got the car that he had been wanting for years. I mean, from the time he had this blue Bomber that he drove around, and he talked about how one day he was going to have a Cadillac, and sure enough, he had it. I didn't stay connected to Jake, now in hindsight, as much as I feel I should have. And granted, I know there's no truth in that. There's nothing concrete. It's just a feeling. But at the same time, a feeling nonetheless. And it's a feeling that connects to the heart of what Relaxed Male is about. I believe that one of our big problems, the reason why we lose so many men these days, is because of, well, it's a combination of several items, but they all circle around this false sense of connection that we believe we have these days. Us men believe that we are, with the use of social media, that we're connected to a whole bunch of people. I've got, I think last time I looked, 700, my phone is right. I'm talking into my phone. I think I've got something like 700 something odd people as quote unquote friends on Facebook. How deeply do I know any of those people? I'd say probably about 10. Some of them are people that I work with or worked with. Some are some of my classmates that I have stayed connected to. One of those people who I didn't stay very well connected to was my high school best friend, Jake. I saw him post from time to time, and I liked and I commented. There was a couple of times I actually phoned him up and talked to him on the phone. I even went to his house. I went to his life partner's restaurant, and we were treated to some of the most incredible catfish I'd ever had in my life. But that was 6-7 years ago. So why are we not connected as people? You look at the old timers, the old men who meet at the coffee shop religiously twice a day. You have the meeting of the minds. You have in the morning, farmers will come in. They'll take up every seat in the coffee shop, or in case of the town I live in now, it's the convenience store. There's a little area set off to the side so the farmers can all sit around and talk. What is the difference between them and now? Well, us think right now, guys my age, which I'm 46, believes that we're too busy. We have other things, bigger things to do than to spend time talking to each other at a coffee shop. But why? Something those men have is something that men have been doing and have had for years, centuries, decades, centuries, millennia, neons in the past. And that is a connection. They are connected to their community. They're connected to their family. A lot of the guys these days, we're trying to figure out how do we get our wife to go do our stuff that we want them to do, instead of connecting with her and understanding why she doesn't care to go bass fishing with you. Yeah, it would be nice if she was to come along, throw a backpack on, and go hike, 10 miles across the countryside. You understand the health benefits that would provide. But we don't, because who would we talk to while we're on that 10-mile hike? It would end up being our wife. We'd have to connect with our wives. We don't connect. Yeah, we may have 2,000 people on Facebook and 100,000 people on Instagram. Ask yourself, how do they impact your life? And you would probably find out that they really don't impact your life. Yeah, you get a good-looking girl showing up on your Instagram from time to time who may or may not be half naked, who's got her butt turned to the lens. But that's not the emotional connection that you need right now. How do you get that emotional connection? And that's really that can be a tough question. That can be a scary question on top of that, because that means you have to be dedicated to what they're going to say. I think a lot of our problem is the very thing I'm talking into right now. We use the phone for anything but a phone. So many guys these days throw a fit if you try to call them. Oh man, I don't talk on the phone. Just text me. No, there is emotions that are included in a phone call that, you don't want to have to mess with. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next, 5 to 6 coming episodes. Is we're going to be talking about the different steps of how to understand and how to process emotions. Yeah, dude, you've got emotions. We know you do. So sitting there going, well, I don't need to know about that. If you say you don't need to know about that, guess what? You need to know about that. Avoiding a emotion does you no good. Stoicism is a good thing. There are times as any tool in a man's arsenal and his toolbox, there's a time and a place when you need to use a hammer. And it is not when you have a screw in your hand. You don't use a screwdriver to put in a staple. You don't use a Phillips head to make a hole. Yeah, it can be used to make a hole, but it's not what it's originally actually meant to do. So being stoic has its purposes. There are times when you need to have your emotions under control. And there are other times when you need to feel sadness. You need to feel anxiety. You need to feel fear. You need to feel. Without feeling, without emotion, you don't have a connection. Now, I'm going to be talking about stuff down the road where it's going to be a little on the confusing side because the only person who can actually feel an emotion is you. Yet we also have that emotion, the fact that we know what sadness feels like, is what helps us to emote and to show empathy towards our fellow human beings. We as humans desperately need a physical touch. You can't get that through a phone. You can't get that through an email. You can't even get that through a web page. And we've got VR coming out, and you're still not going to have a sense of touch, even if they come out with a full body suit that gives you the sensation that you're being touched. It's not going to be the same as when you actually have an actual skin touching skin. There are, for the lack of a better word, energies that are transferred. So this next month and a half, each week, we'll be talking about emotions and to help you understand that these emotions are there so that you can be complete. I want to help you become a complete man. A lot of people think that you have to stomp around and you have to be this big alpha male. And dude, no, you don't. An alpha male is just a description that somebody gives so that they can have the sense of being superior to you. If you happen to be a beta male, a man is a man as long as he takes responsibility for what he's been assigned to in life. Typically that's to take care of your family, protect your family. And as long as you're getting those done and you're leading your family in the proper direction, you're going to be a man in any guy's eyes. Those who don't think that you're being a man because of that is more than likely pointing a finger without realizing that when you point a finger, there are 3 more pointed back at you. And we'll get deeper into that in these next few weeks. But take notice of those this next week. Sit down and really think about who all are you actually close to? Who do you really connect with? Are you connected with those who are providing you value, or do you just think you have a connection? Because a lot of times we think, I'm really connected with that person. Well, what if they were gone tomorrow? Because they can be. It almost seems like I had my own personal rapture happen earlier today, finding out that Jake had left. And I won't see him, depending on your belief, I won't see him until I head up till I'm called. And at the moment, I don't see any reason why I am going to meet him before God's time, and definitely not by my hands, because as I tell so many people, I've got too many people I've got to piss off. So, but see your friends, those who you consider friends. If you have to go as far as writing and scheduling, hey, I'm going to start calling who I consider my good friend, call them. Set it, make it a habit. I have done that. I schedule that I'm going to be calling my mom. I mean, it's Saturdays. Is mom calling time. I call her up and I call my stepmom up. I call them both up and say, hey, how y'all doing? I have one friend who I do call, at least, talk to once, twice a week. Actually, I've got two friends who I actually call once to twice a week. Just thinking about that, forget. But there are lots more places. Us men need to have an inner circle. We need to have the ability for us to reach out and to be able to share confidentially our fears, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, and have enough respect for the guys who are in that inner circle that if you give them some information, they can turn around and confidently go, dude, that's not going to work. And here's why. And you can take that information to heart and make the needed change. At the same time, if you happen to say something that is spot on and amazing, these same guys are the ones who will stand behind you and cheer you on. You always hear people, hey, he would give the shirt off his back. Well, glad. Have you ever actually asked him for that shirt? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this one up as episode 2. Starting out on a bit of a downer, but trust me, we're starting out kind of rough like this. We have nowhere to go. If you like the podcast, man, I'm going to ask that you please subscribe. With it being brand spanking new like this, I'm needing to grow some subscribers. If you have any comments, you can leave a comment over it. You shoot a comment over to me through email, brian@relaxedmail.com, and that's Brian with a Y. There's also a form that you can fill out over at relaxedmail.com/connect. My brain is starting to stop working. See, I'm going off the rails here. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for listening, man. I appreciate the fact that you gave me this time to talk to you and to hopefully start helping you bend towards understanding what a good, healthy connection is that you are needing, that all of us men need. We need to have people we can talk to. We need people who we connect with. I want to feel connected to so many people that at the moment I don't have any connection to. So, man, have a great week. We'll see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. So, till then, hug your family, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.